Hello, hello. My name is Liku Amadi, founder and attorney of Anasa Law Firm, where I work with consultants and expert service providers to help them establish a solid legal foundation for their business. And one main part about that is contracts, because your contracts are the foundation of every relationship in your business, and your client contracts are the foundation of your client relationships. It's not just a box that you check to start working with your client and getting paid. It's not something that should be handled passively, but it should be treated as a foundation of your client contracts, because it lays out exactly how you're going to work together, but more importantly, how you as the consultant or service provider are going to lead your client through the transformation that they just paid you for. So today, we're talking about client trust and how you can leverage your contract to help build or enhance that trust with your client. So let's get into it, because as the leader of the client relationship, in order to lead someone, they need to trust you, right? There has to be some type of trust there. So prior to entering into a contract and starting to work with that client, excuse me, you've had the opportunity to, draft content, get on a sales call. Maybe they're familiar with your YouTube videos or other things that you've done, right? But it's all just talk. It's all just kind of out there. Maybe they have a snippet of your framework, but this is the first opportunity. Them signing your contract is the first opportunity for them to see how thorough you are, how detailed you are, how caring you are about the services they need, right? How much you've taken the time to particularize what you're doing for those clients or for that client that you're working with, right? This is the first piece of concrete evidence, no pun intended, but first piece of concrete evidence, first demonstration of your work, right? Is your contract. That's the first thing that they read when getting to do business with you and see how you are going to work together. The thing that they agree to are your terms and conditions, your boundaries, etc., your client policies, of course. So, is your contract increasing trust? Is it making you look good? Is it making you look solid? Does it make you look like a thorough business owner who cares about what they're doing and cares about what their client is going to get out of this transformation? Or is it making you look like your contract is just a box to check? Is it making you look like your contract was pieced together? Is it making you look like your business doesn't care too much about the client's specific needs, but just has your standard services and operations? What does your client contract look like? That is going to help increase, or depending on what it looks like, I should say, it's going to determine whether your client increases their trust in you from whatever trust you've already established prior to them signing the contract, or if they're going to be questioning how you're going to work with them down the line. And we want the former. We want them to trust you more because you have such a thorough, well put together, well thought out contract that not only describes your services, operations, and policies to the T, but also explains and details and considers that client's specific needs. Are y'all picking up what I'm putting down? If so, let me know in the comments. Hello to Jonathan from Arizona. Thank you for tuning in. If you are watching this live, comment live. If you are catching the replay, then comment replay and run this whole thing back so you can get all of the gems. A few things about trust. How can you improve or enhance your contract in order to get that trust or increase that trust with your clients? Your contract should be transparent. Transparency is key. Ooh, man, legal. When it comes to terms and conditions, so many things can be hidden, and not everything needs to be explained on the sales page or the sales call. But there are those pertinent, important things like fees, what people are going to get out of the service, their part, right? Their required contributions and whatnot. There are some things that shouldn't be hidden or shouldn't be a surprise or shouldn't be laid out in a confusing manner, right? If you're using ambiguous terms that might throw the client off a little bit, you want to be as clear and as transparent as possible so the client knows exactly how they're going to work with you, what to expect when certain things happen, whether it's consequences or late fees or having to pivot in the timeline that you initially set out together. You want to be as transparent as possible. And it's better to do that at the outset versus getting questions down the line and having to clarify or explain, or even worse, making up a solution later on because you didn't have that laid out in the outset. So transparency is key. Your contract should also be fair and flexible. What does that mean? So I always tell my clients that, your contract should favor you and your interests. That's why you came to me to draft it. So it considers your services, your policy, your interest, protects your IP, protects your entire business, etc. Right? That's first and foremost. However, contracts don't need to be drafted where they're overly harsh or they overly punish the client in certain situations, right? They can be fair, they can be reasonable, they can be flexible. So, for example, if you have strong deadlines for the work that you're doing, right? You need to stay on the timeline. You can allow for a grace period. If there's a late payment, right? That gives the client a little bit of breathing room, and that doesn't put you in a position where you're frustrated doing work without yet being paid, or maybe thinking that the client isn't going to pay you, right? You can also have a dispute resolution policy that allows you to come to the table together just like this and talk face to face or virtually via Zoom. But just talk things through like, okay, you know what? We ran into a snag, we ran into an issue. How can we fix it without getting off the project timeline? Or how can we fix it without disrupting the scope of services, right? Versus sending a letter saying, hey, you got 7 days or you have 10 days, whatever the time period is, to respond this way, or there's going to be a fee, or I'm going to sue you, or we're going to shut down operations, right? Like, you don't have to be that harsh. Your contract can allow for things to be solved in an amicable manner, things to be solved in a manner that allow you to move forward and still work together. So it's something that was just tightened up versus an issue that had to blow up more than it really had to. Negotiations are another way you can show just trust and a willingness to work together. Yes, you are the leader and you are leading them through the client experience. You are leading them through the transformation. However, this is still a joint effort where you need things from each other. So the more you can show that you're willing to work with your clients as well as lead them, the better. And negotiations is great for that. If you send over your client contract and your client's legal department looks at it, or your client looks at it and they send it back with some edits and suggestions, you don't have to be like, my goodness, I'm not going to make these changes. The contract is as it is. You need to sign it or I can't work with you. You can be flexible, right? Oh, okay. Instead of this deadline, we can add one more week here, right? Or we can change the scope of services to include this instead of that. Like, you can be flexible. And that again just shows that you're willing to work with your client and lead your client, which increases that trust and their willingness to work with you. Tailor your contract to your client's needs. That is a huge one. I'm a big fan of tailored contracts, and not just for yourself, right? Because that's the first level. You need to make sure your client contracts are tailored around your services, your operations, your policies, and your business needs. It needs to be part of the structure. It needs to be a main piece of the machine that is your business, so your business can run smoothly, right? You need to really incorporate and integrate your contract into your business. Again, it's not just a box to check. So it needs to be tailored to your needs and how you run your business. The second part of that is it needs to be tailored to the client's needs as well, especially if they're out here paying you, 4, 5, 6, 7 figures to help them transform their business in whatever way you promise that you are going to do so. What does that mean, right? Let's say, for example, you've already laid out your scope of services and the schedule in which the services are going to be completed. Maybe there are a few things about your client that, are new to you. Maybe it's with regard to how they run their business or the nature of the business that they're in. You might want to tweak your services a little bit or tweak some terms in the contract to reflect those things. So you're not giving them a lot of terms or informations that really don't apply to them, or for the things that do apply to them, you're tailoring it a little bit more to their needs. And that just additional level of care helps show that you are willing, again, to work with them, to accommodate them, and that they can trust you when it comes to meeting their needs, because you're already doing that at what they call the formality level, right? Which is signing a contract, because it's obviously more than just a formality. So tailoring your contract to your client's needs is most definitely huge. Remember that your contract says something about your business, right? The caliber of your client should match the caliber of the contract that you give them. It shouldn't be something you created or downloaded from ChatGPT. It shouldn't be something that you got for free on Google or got someone to piece together for you based on their own experience. It should really be something that you take the time and care and thoughtfulness and attention to put together, because that will speak to how you facilitate your client services, or that can speak to the quality that you put into your business, right? I've read a few contracts, and not as an attorney, although I always have my attorney hat on, but just as a consumer of other people's services or products. And I'm like, this doesn't even apply to me, or this is a contract for a whole nother service that I'm not even signing up for. How is that going to impact me, right? And not even as a lawyer, but just as a consumer who is investing money and wants the most clarity and direction as possible. I want to be able to trust that someone is able to handle my stuff. And when I see a contract that hasn't been put together the way that my needs require, that makes me feel some type of way. Like, we may clarify it, there may be some edits, but there is that part that's kind of just like, we just got off a call, it was great, and then that kind of put a dent in things. And that's not something that we want to happen. So keep in mind that your contract is one of those things that, reflects your business. So how do you want it to reflect? More importantly, how do you think it currently reflects right now? If you were to get your dream business client, I'm talking about the client that you want to work with, would you be confident giving them your contract right now? And if not, why not? Is it because you don't think it rises to the caliber of where your client is? Is it because you think it needs an upgrade? Is it because you're not sure whether the trust would break down while they're reading through your contract? Is it because you're not sure whether they would read through it and say, got some changes, or this doesn't meet my needs? Like, what would that reason be? A good contract helps build trust, point blank, period. It is that first piece of evidence, that first demonstration of how thorough and detailed and thoughtful you are in your business processes, which says something about how you will help your clients in the long run. Set the tone, set the precedent, like I like to say at the outset, for that trust to be established and for that trust to build as you continue to work with your clients. So if any of those things were helpful, let me know in the comments, or if you want me to dive into something a little bit deeper, let me know as well. We are going into Q3 in, I can't count, 4 days. We are going into Q3. It's right around the corner, and we do not want to go in with contracts that don't support our business relationships. That's clients, employees, contractors, partnerships, speaking inquiries, whatever business relationships you have, you want to make sure you have a contract in place. This weekend, Precedent, which is the platform for legal resources and contract templates, is having our mid-year sale, which is hundreds in savings for the contracts that you need. So I'm going to leave the link in the comments. Go ahead and check it out, because this will be our biggest sale of the year. And subscribe to Precedent for additional tips that we share weekly for some Q&A that we share weekly, and just that information that you need to be on the up and up when it comes to the legal and specifically the contracts in your business. Questions, drop them in the comments or send me a DM. Otherwise, y'all have a great day, and I will see you on the next live. Bye-bye.